jakiejkolwiek odpowiedzi.
E?
E?
Nie?
You've got three is the graphics chip, so I might as well use it. For the file type, keep it as MP4. Go to around the game. Hello. This video. And yeah.
Te DHT, co dzisiaj robiliśmy, to było plus ile?
12?
This video.
Chyba 12.
And yeah.
To już jest stream włączony?
Te DHT,
Nie, 14 Arkway.
12?
This video.
Chyba
14
12.
chyba.
And
Dobra.
yeah.
Stream? Jaki stream?
12?
This video.
Chyba
14
12.
chyba.
And
Dobra.
yeah.
Tak, słychać TS-a, słychać. Tak, słychać. Dobra, spoko. Tak, ścina. Aż 20 i będzie dobrze. Ja mam kłopot.
User entered your channel.
To jest ten sam, tak?
User entered your channel.
To jest ten sam, tak?
User entered your channel.
Navies in the world, the Kultirans and the Zandalari. So you're going to log in and head down to the docks of your brand new hub city of Boralis for the Alliance, and Zuldazar for the Horde, and there you'll be conscripted by the Alliance to head off on an adventure. You're going to take one of their fastest ships and try to gather as much of that Azerite as you can. Of course, once you arrive on the island, you won't find that it's necessarily undefended. This giant crab that we see here is not a friendly crab. The denizens of the island will fight hard for the Azerite that they've already collected, because really every creature is drawn to this magical substance, even though they don't quite know why. So that was a little bit of the story behind your island expedition. Let's get down into some of the details. On to this magical substance, island expeditions, even though they don't quite know why. And they're role agnostic. This is something that was a little bit of the story behind your island expedition. You want to bring in let's get down into some of the details. To this magical substance, island expedition, even though they don't quite know why. A lot about individual class-based gameplay and rare spawn gameplay and world quest gameplay throughout the last couple of expansions. Let's get all of that knowledge on to this magical substance to give you an awesome experience, no matter what group you come in with. They're intended to take about 15 to 20 minutes. And being role agnostic, you'll also have a relatively rapid queue. That means that just about any time of the day, you can hop in, queue up, and knock one of these out and grab some Azerite. And last but not least, the major goal here, of course, is to obtain Azerite, to fill up the hull of your ship and leave victorious, with Azerite for your faction, but also some for yourself. Gaining Azerite comes in a wide variety of different sources. You can find it on Azerite nodes or seams. Creatures have been collecting it and gathering it up into chests, baskets, and bags. Like I said, everything's kind of drawn to it a little bit, and they don't want to let it go. It has this inherent power. You will fight creatures infused with Azerite. You'll save quest givers who have been collecting Azerite. And of course, you'll be fighting powerful bosses and taking their huge hordes of Azerite. and also much, much more, which we're going to get into in a little bit. Really, one of the prevailing design philosophies behind island expeditions is something that we're calling dynamic replayability. And I could describe that in a whole bunch of words, but it's going to be way more fun if I show you with pictures. All right. So imagine you and your friends queue up for an island expedition, and you arrive on this sort of idyllic tropical landscape. It's nice, you know, looks kind of like what you would expect an island to look like. It's the middle of the day, it's a pretty day. And today, you find the island is inhabited by a couple of hosen sitting next to a chest filled with azurite. To the left of them, you see a giant azurite-encrusted starfish. Of course, you can pick up the starfish and fling it at any enemy to disorient them and let you do extra damage to them for a little while. There's a couple of ambient crabs wandering around on the shoreline, and in the back right there, you see a creepy-looking hosen shrine. If you click on that shrine, it will give you a powerful buff, but every shrine buff also comes with a detriment, and you can't remove it until its duration expires. So you have to be sure that you want to really opt in to that gameplay, that extra difficulty. In this particular case, this shrine makes you do extra damage, but reduces your armor. In the back left, you see a very large crab that we saw earlier, who is guarding a huge spire of azurite. And as you can imagine, he's going to be one of the more powerful foes in the sort of scene that we created here. So what did we just craft? Really, what we've created is a puzzle. There is an optimal way to play through this scenario. So what do you think you would do? You would probably kill the hosen, you would take their chest, grab the starfish, maybe go to the shrine at that point, you would starfish the crab, which is a weird phrase to say. And then while he's disoriented, do a bunch of extra damage to him, maybe even killing him before he can hit you. So the debuff sort of portion of that shrine never even gets realized. And then you take his big chunk of azurite. Super cool, right? We solved this puzzle, we tactically worked our way through the game, and we found the most efficient path through this particular chunk of the island. Now imagine that you and your friends finished this island, you did great, you were victorious, and you queue up again. Second time you come to the island, it looks like this. Okay, same island. A little bit different time of day. It's pretty, it's dusk. And this time, a Sarok rare spawn and their band of Sarok have taken over the camp, slain the hosen, taken their chest, and that particular rare spawn is worth a huge amount of azurite. You'll notice that the starfish is now giant clams, of which there are 2. You can pick up one of those clams and fling it at an enemy to stun them. The shrine is in a different location, and it's a different shrine. And the turtles, or sorry, the crabs, rather, are a family of turtles now, in the very back right over there, who were crafted with some turtle eggs that you can click on to get an instantaneous heal. You can probably see where I'm going with this. Imagine that the third time that you queue up for the day, it is instead a dark and stormy night. Mogu necromancers have arrived on the back of powerful thundering cloud serpents, have taken over the entire island. All of the shrines are now cursed shrines. They do additional damage, but with a significant additional detriment. The Mogu have also opened up this portal that you see in the back right there to a Mogu Necrolord's crypt, 1,000 yards beneath the surface of Azeroth. And if you go walk into that portal, you will port down into that crypt, and one of the passages through it will be open for you to defeat the boss at the end and gain their Azerite. So what did we really just show you here? Every time you come to this space, the puzzle is different. The creatures are in different locations. The Azerite is in different quantities and different spots. There are additional gameplay elements scattered throughout the world, and it's always a little bit different. All of these things are what you might call procedurally generated on the island space, so that every time you come here, you will find different creatures in different organizations with different amounts of Azerite. You might find capture points that allow you to take over some long, abandoned cannons on the side of a ship that give you a powerful extra ability on this particular island. You'll find chests and Azerite nodes of all kinds of different quantities, scattered everywhere, but always in a different combination, and different quest givers consumables, shrines. Every island has at least 4 start locations. Every time we make a cave, it can be a different cave of a huge number of different possible caves. Pirates can show up in the middle of the island on great giant ships that you can then board and go down into and take their Azurite. But we don't necessarily want to call this
Microphone
procedural
activated.
generation.
Microphone user
That harkens
disconnected
back
from
to a
your
world
channel.
where maybe we would have a Hosen next to a Sarok, next to a Mogu, and it wouldn't tell a cohesive story. In all of those pictures we just showed you, really what we started with was telling a story, and then we generated the world afterwards. It's a little bit like going on an adventure and just filling in the blanks. We landed on a tropical island in the middle of the night, and it was inhabited by Mogu necromancers. We define what that story is for your island, and then we generate it for you in a way that always feels different. You're never sure where the next tactical location of Azurite is going to be located at. And that means that every time you come to this space, it's going to really get to that feeling of exploring uncharted lands and new territories that we want to get for the Battle for Azeroth. However, something Ian mentioned earlier, both the gnomes and the goblins have developed the technology to pinpoint these major sources of Azurite. So shortly after you arrive on this island, so will the other faction. You'll be facing off against 3 champions of the other team who are going after all of the same resources you are, and they just might defeat one of those bosses or snag one of those chunks of Azurite right out from under your nose. This provides a real time pressure to make those tactical decisions and play that puzzle efficiently that we think adds the icing to the cake of this system. We also really want to play around with the concept of those faction champions. If you're the Alliance, you want to face off against a real group of horde that feel like fun characters from that faction. You might be facing off against this group, the Spirits of Vengeance, a group of Darkspear loyalists who are out for vengeance for Vol'jin. They have a Shadow Hunter, a Witch Doctor, and a Berserker, exactly as you would expect from a group of powerful trolls. For the Horde, you might be facing off against the Wolf Pack, a group of Worgen out for vengeance for Gen Greymane. We're really good at sniffing you out. I know, terrible. But you might be thinking to me, okay, I've been playing this game for like a decade at this point. If I fireball this big Magneron right here, I know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to run right up to me, and he's going to punch me in the face. And then if I run really far away from him, he might run back to his spawn point. So you, game designer, I'm going to beat you at your own game, and I'm going to drag all of these NPCs off into a corner while the rest of my allies go and take over the island. That's an interesting problem. And spawning up a world where different resources can show up just about anywhere presents a lot of interesting problems for World of Warcraft AI. So what are the problems that we want to solve here? Well, first, we'd want to face off against foes that really had tactical ability usage. You'd want foes that would be able to get into a defensive formation sometimes. Maybe polymorph you, maybe sap your healer, and steal one of those Azurite nodes right out from under you. If you're approaching an enemy rogue that is already in combat with a boss, it'd be really cool if sometimes he blinded the boss and attacked you, sometimes he blinded you and attacked the boss, and sometimes he vanishes to reconvene with his allies and come back later. Secondly, it would be awesome if all 3 of these had an intrinsic sense of the map objectives. If they would understand where the powerful creatures were, the major risk-reward moments, where the big chunks of Azurite were. That provides really an extra tension that you want when the creature is also going after the really important things while you're going after it. The end result of both of these is AI that can make strategic decisions. They can decide whether or not they want to stick in combat or leave combat. You'll finally face off against an AI that every once in a while will polymorph you, mount up, and just leave because he's got better things to do. That's also one of the really fun parts. That's also one of the really fun parts about messing with the system, is that you can create AI personality.
Welcome back, everybody. If you want to continue watching the WoW gameplay deep dive, just click on the live tab in the watch box.
All right, guys, and joining us now is the returning host of Community Night. He's our good friend, Chris Hardwick.
Hello.
Hey, Chris
It's very nice
Hardwick.
to be here.
It's nice to have you here.
It's a nice set, right?
I wasn't sure if I was going to come back because I hosted in 2014
My first year.
and I didn't blow it,
Nope.
and it went okay.
That's good.
And I left and I was like, I did it. I don't need to. I want to screw it up.
again.
I don't want
I
to
did
screw
it
it up. And so they kept going, do you want to host? And I was like, no. I did it. I don't want to. And then this year, I'd been away for a few years, and I was like, okay, I'll come back. I got to do it. I got to do
Oh,
it.
well, we're happy to have you.
I've been watching the announcements for as much of the day as I could. There's a lot of super fun stuff.
Yeah, what are you kind of attracted to as you watch the opening announcements?
I mean, WoW Classic looks pretty fun. I played.
Crazy, right?
I played. It's funny to think that I played World of Warcraft on CD-ROM before a lot of people who are watching this were alive.
Yes.
But
Thank you for that, Chris.
I still need to get like as a text tone, like a ready to work. Like I need to get that as a text tone.
Zug, zug.
Yeah, zug zug.
That's our Warcraft 3, but yeah.
Yeah, I want to be. I just sleep under trees.
Well, they are lions. Like all those. It's really fun. But yeah, so I'm excited to be back, and the show looks really incredible this year.
Well, it's huge because if you were here 2014, it is now, as they've told me, it is now 1.2 million square feet of action. They added a whole other hall. They literally built a hall for this.
It's such an amazing community because, whether like with E3 or Comic-Con, it's like a tapestry of a million different things. But to have a community that's this focused on the various Blizzard, I mean, it's like everyone's in the same conversation. So
it's actually interesting to
really
hear your
nice.
perspective on that because, I mean, you're really obviously entrenched with the nerd community.
Sure.
So, like, I mean,
I've been around it for a while.
You've been around it for a bit.
Yeah,
But I mean,
2 decades.
you,
That's right. You're there. We'll get you there.
but you've seen communities be toxic, be not get along. You've seen different kinds of communities. So what do you think makes the Blizzard community so different in that it creates positive experiences?
I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's because of an event like this. I mean, part of why communities can become toxic is because people are anonymous. And obviously you can play anonymously. However, there's a real world experience with Blizzard that people see each other here and they're accountable to one another. And then they also, you come to an event like this and you realize like, oh, we're all people. We're not just avatars and text and and characters. We're actually human beings. So I think that makes us communicate more like human beings are intended to communicate and not like weaponize our anonymity.
I think you're right because it is sort of just like. Yeah, I think you're right.
Mythic.
Well, yeah, because
Mythic Sneaky
I mean,
Pete is
look,
really
we love these
good.
types of
He's
events,
rude.
especially
He's really
because you
rude.
get to meet people that you play with in game,
And
right?
PvP.
So like,
We
I
think
mean, you
that
nailed it. Like on the other
absolutely
conventions,
one of the
E3, they could be,
most fun
oh, we
ways
love
to
a
play
bunch
this
of different things,
particular
or we love
piece
a
of
very
content
specific
is
vertical
facing
of
off
video
against
games.
3 other
Video games is
players
also a
and really
huge.
harkening back
It's
to
like
that
music,
sense
right?
of
Video
racing
games
off
is like
against another
music. You can
player
say, oh, I'm
towards
a
a
video
mineral
game
node
player,
and
but
getting
unless
it
you're
right
like,
before them and
I
getting
like
to laugh.
RTSs, I like
Yeah,
blah, blah,
exactly.
blah.
We think you're going to love this
okay,
piece of
you're a
content.
gamer. Does that
We
mean you like
talked a
RPGs?
whole
Do you like
lot
MMO?
about
Or do you
how
play
you're going to
Farmville?
gain
Do you play
right,
mobile
one of
game?
the
Like,
main
what's your
sources of it.
what is your thing?
Now here to
everyone
talk to
here
you about what you're going to
speaks
do
the
with
same
it,
language.
Russell
This is
Peterson.
like it's really kind of its own country.
Well, I think that you nailed it when you said people can hold each other accountable when they come here, because that's true. Because you like, if you're a jerk online and then you see your guildmates next year, maybe BlizzCon won't be as fun.
And also, I mean, you can tell the level at which people care about this world and the community. I mean, like, BlizzCon has some of the best cosplay.
The discovery of Azerite and the arms race
this is the kind of cosplay where people are legitimately like mechanics. Like where they actually, because there's such a diversity to the characters, the palette that they have. There's so many amazing types of cosplay.
And
that,
it seems that
you really
even
see the
in their
care
defeat,
that
they
people
finally
put into
struck
it.
the
It's
killing
pretty
blow.
incredible.
Oh yeah.
Speaking on that,
Only
actually, when I
Magni
went
seems
to
to
the con
understand
before the
how
storm party
desperate
the
the
other night,
situation
there
has
was a
truly
girl
become.
that had been
He's
working on
appealed
her
to the
Alex
leaders of both factions
Straza
and has been turned
mail
away.
armor
Oh, I
suit,
saw that.
chain mail armor.
Calls to
She had
you
made it for
the greatest
7
heroes
years.
that Azeroth has
my
ever seen.
God.
And she had a
When you answer his
smoke out of it. I posted it
he'll
on
entrust
Twitter,
you with
but it
an
is
ancient Titan
amazing.
artifact.
Well,
Yeah, it was like smoke coming out of her
Unreal.
mouth.
I
mean,
Everything,
you
lighting
know
up the
that
eyes.
believes
come
that the heart of
Monday,
Azeroth
a lot of
holds
people
the
will
key to
start on next
undoing
year's
the worst of the damage
whatever the
inflicted by the
cosplay is for
Legion.
next year.
If they're not already.
You'll
I
carry
can barely
the
get
heart of
myself
Azeroth
together
around
for
your
a
neck as
Halloween
you adventure
costume.
in Kulturus
It was literally
and Zandalor.
Saturday when I put together my Halloween
to you
costume,
to
and
say
it
What
was
were
an
you?
old one. I was
Again.
Vince Clortho.
Oh,
From
A
yeah,
little bit more
Keymaster
literally
Gozer.
this time than in
Yeah.
But it was
previous
an old one. I
expansions.
did it like 4 or 5 years ago. But the people at the party I went
The
to
heart
hadn't
of
seen it.
Azeroth
Too much
is
Halloween
the
costume.
Can I just
focal
drop
point
up
of
an
your
obnoxious-
character's progress
Please?
throughout the expansion.
So, speaking of
when
Vince
it comes
Clortho,
in close
Keymaster of
proximity
Gozer,
Yes.
to Azeroth,
I bought at a
the heart of
recent
Azeroth absorbs a
memorabilia
fraction of
auction
its power.
Oh,
the
no.
grows
original
stronger.
Dark
It
Helmet
levels
from
up.
Spaceballs.
Oh my
You'll
God!
gain
So I
Azeroth
have
from familiar
the
activities
Dark
like
Helmet.
raids,
That is fantastic.
And my
dungeons,
friend
world
Max
quests,
Brooks, who wrote World War
PvP,
Z,
and
is
new
Mel
ones,
Brooks' son.
like Island
And he
Expeditions
said,
and Warfronts.
hey, if you buy that helmet, I'll get my dad
As
to
the
sign
heart
it.
of
I was like,
Azeroth
oh,
gains
okay.
strength and
So Mel
levels up.
signed it.
It becomes
And then
stronger in
Rick
its own
Moranis
right.
had been on the
It
podcast
may
years
gain
ago.
new
So I reached out to him a couple weeks ago and
But
said, hey, I'm
most
going to be in New York.
importantly,
I have
it
Dark
gains
Helmet, and Mel
power
signed it.
to
Would you sign it?
awaken
And he was like, yeah.
latent
So then
abilities in
I,
other
you-
pieces
are you
of armor
kidding
he
that
just
you
showed
find.
up to my hotel and he signed my Dark Helmet. We talked for like an
This
hour.
is an in-development look
And
at how you'll interact
so-
with
I'm sorry to
my
drop the
God.
name, but
piece of
just
Azerite
you know.
armor.
No, but that's so.
Each piece
So I have
cool.
I have
Amazing.
Dark Helmet. That's on my
powers.
Instagram feed.
Each of
I
those
can't wait to see
rings
it now.
Yeah.
unlocks
I'm gonna
at
go
a
check
different
that
part of
back out.
Azeroth's
I was
level.
staying at one of these arty
The
New
outer
York
rings
hotels
are
that had
relatively
a,
accessible.
for some
You might
reason,
loot an
like
item
a
and discover
wardrobe
you can
dummy
pick
in it.
1 or 2 powers
But I
immediately.
just put
But
Dark
the
Helmet on it.
innermost
We just
powers
stood
will
on either
require you
side.
to
It was
further
pretty
empower
amazing.
the heart of
That
Azeroth.
is fantastic. Well,
Yes.
listen, I know
Once the
you've
heart of
got some
Azeroth
prep work
has
to
awakened
do.
a ring,
It's
you simply
almost
choose a
time
power,
for the show, but
and
thank
it
you so
becomes
much for
active on
coming
your character
by.
What
for
if I
as
was
long
like,
as you
no,
wear
I
that
can
item.
stay? What do you want to talk
I'd be like,
about?
Winston
I'm the
is
guy
right
who
there.
always-
He doesn't have
You've
his
seen
glasses
Where's
Azerite
on.
Lowe? So he's in a
powers on
rage.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
mad.
But look,
Azerite
that's
armor
rage. That's
powers
not rage.
Where's the? Oh, he's got the.
Are
Gotcha.
in
Yeah,
multitude.
that's what
Glasses
happened.
here.
And it's up to
Yeah,
you
his
to
glasses.
decide
I
how
love
they
it.
affect
They
your
should
character.
break.
This is an
I know,
important
I know.
distinction.
All right.
Thank
from
you
what's
so
been
much,
Thanks
Chris,
for
for
having
coming
me.
in. And Bregala,
You
we'll
might
see you in a
find a
bit.
power
Thank you.
that
Overwatch
makes you
Game
think
Director
twice
Jeff
about
Kaplan
using
will
a
be
talent
joining
that
us
you've
shortly, so
previously
tweet
written
us your
off.
questions for him
You
right
might
now
find
at
a power
#BlizzCon.
on a helm
That's right,
that
and
you'd
now it's time to
previously
head
seen on
over
your shoulder while you were
to the
leveling up.
legendary stage where just a
And you
short
will
time
certainly
ago
find
they started a deep dive into one of like
that
the
reinforce
coolest
your
new
favorite
cinematics
way
that
to play your character.
I've seen.
Now,
It's
you're
Junkertown,
gonna be able to
the
do this
plan,
every
creating a
time you
new
find a
kind of
new item.
Overwatch
The
animation.
key to all of that and the freedom of experimentation is that the heart of Azeroth is the source of that power. Whenever you loot a new item and you awaken Azerite powers on it, the heart of Azeroth doesn't change. Anytime you loot Azerite, you make your character stronger. If you try a new item on, you have no progression setback whatsoever. You will always be moving forward.
What was it you think got us the boot?
Now,
Stealing
I
the
know you're
Queen's
thinking,
cat?
oh, this sounds like a lot of
Blowing up a somersault?
randomness.
The beatdown at the bar?
That's not true. Each of these items has a unique, handcrafted layout, and it's the same every single time you see the item. You'll be able to open the dungeon journal and determine which powers affect your character the way that you prefer and know exactly what you need to do to acquire those items.
Well,
And you'll
there's
always
two
want
things
to
that
acquire
solve
the
every
strongest
problem.
version of the item. The strength of an individual Azerite power is derived from the
and
item level of the
explosives.
item that it belongs to.
I've got
Which is
an
a very
idea!
carefully worded way of saying the mythic dungeon version is better than the heroic dungeon version. You're always going to want to have the most powerful. This is a little confusing to think about. So let's walk through an example.
Boom! Gotta get
This
money,
is
gotta get...
Sardina. Sardina is an orc shaman. She enjoys long walks
Gotta
on
get
the
home!
come to Luge, transmog runs, and she raids with her guilds 2 nights a week. She mostly plays elemental, but every once in a while she'll switch to restoration to heal if somebody can't make the raid or to do some mythic dungeons. She's going to help us walk through this
can't
example
wait
today,
to
and
see
she's
the
really
look on the-
excited to be here. Sardina's Heart of Azeroth is currently
Queen's
level 20.
face
Now,
when
any of the
she
numbers
sees
that I'm going to use here
exactly who
are
double-crossed
hypothetical.
her.
Don't get mad at me when it's not like that when the game comes out.
We're gonna go over the plan one more time.
Level 20
So
is
you
good
can
enough to
screw it
unlock
all
the
up.
first 2 rings on her helm, the Coif of Entwined Fates.
All right. First,
The 3rd ring requires level 21. It just so happened to be checking in with her during a dungeon dungeon run. She completes the dungeon, loots the Azurite off the boss, and immediately her neck levels up to 21. No items to click, it just happens.
No point in blowing it up.
Doing that, it unlocks the third ring on this item. Now, Sabrina's been looking forward to this for a while. She knows the choice she's going to make. So she selects the power, and it immediately becomes active on her character. But why did she make that choice? Let's talk just a little bit about how we want the system to work. The most important part of this is that we want the choices that you're going to be presented with to make sense with one another. If I give you a choice between your lightning bolt does 20% more damage or you gain 20 fishing skill, I have a pretty good idea of which one of those you're going to choose. You were here this morning for Ian's talk. You know Queen Ashara is on her way. That fishing skill is going to be really important in the raid, and you're going to be prepared for it. No, you're going to take the lightning. No, you're going to take the lightning bolt damage. We want these choices. To be something where you look at it and you say, yes, all of those things belong together. And my favorite one is this. But we want these to be about. More than just raw power. We want them to be about how you express yourself as a character or as a player. And we want them to provide. That things aren't just bigger, better, more. So the choice that Sardina made was between a power that affected Ghost Wolf and gave it an extra boost of speed after you're taking damage, or a power that affects Astral Shift and helps reduce the damage taken when the power is active. Sardina looks at this and she says, "This is about standing in the fire. I can take the Ghost Wolf power and I can get out of the fire really quickly. Or I can take the Astral Shift power, and maybe I don't have to get out of the fire at all." Those are decisions that there may be a specific correct answer for one situation, but that's also something that depends on you as a player. If you are not very good at noticing when you're in the fire, maybe you go with Astral Shift. But Sardina goes with Ghost Wolf because when she heals, there's nothing that drives her up the wall faster than the DPS who stand in the fire, and she's not going to set a bad example. We hope that these kinds of choices will be present all throughout the expansion. One of the really exciting things about Azerite armor is that we get to introduce new powers later in the expansion that you've never seen before, and you have all new choices to make. And I hope that you choose to use these powers responsibly, in the way that Magni hopes that you do, to save Azeroth. But if you were here this morning, you saw that cinematic, and you heard the screams of the Banshee Queen, or saw the way Anduin rallied his troops, you probably want to know how you're going to be taking the fight to the other faction. And here to talk about Warfronts is Matt Goss.
Good job, bud. All right, guys, let's go to war. So you saw islands. Islands are telling the story of the skirmish that's going on between the Horde and the Alliance, between our two continents. Warfronts are telling the story of war on the homeland. So these are 20-player cooperative experiences. So you and 19 of your closest faction friends will take it to the other team. It's Alliance versus Horde. It's red versus blue. It's Orc versus human. This is your time to stand with your faction and take down the other side. So we're really looking back to our Warcraft RTS fantasy roots with this system. But again, it's on the ground. You're fighting on the ground with your troops, building buildings with your character using your powers. So this picture of the original box of Warcraft 2, I think, really symbolizes. That's weird. Did you guys see that? Can we enhance this? Wait, Battle for Azeroth is on this box? And no one noticed? Tides of Vengeance in this? Okay, anyway. So let's talk about Eastern Kingdoms. So what you saw in the cinematic, Undercity lies in ruins now. Okay, you're right. Wait. More ruins. I guess it was already kind of messed up before, but definitely more ruins at this point. So this means that Alliance have control over Eastern Kingdoms. It is very close to falling to the full Alliance. The fight is going to continue, I should say, in Arathi Highlands, where the remaining members of the Horde will face off against the Alliance pushing north. All right, so for the Alliance, why is this important? Well, the Undercity isn't defensible. The Horde is still up to the north, and they're still angry. Silvermoon City is up there. It's a zone boundary away. There's like a loading screen, but they can probably make it through. Probably make sure. This is a place you can make a stand and cut off the north. Now for the horde. You got to make a stand. Here. You've already lost your most defensible position. This is your time to prevent the alliance from building up. It's also a great place to launch attacks on Gilneas if we were to do such a thing. So the first war front that we're going to have in Battle for Azeroth is Stromgarde. The fight for Stromgarde. Okay, that's the original version of Stromgarde. That's the new version of Stromgarde. So we're still working on the map, so it'll probably change as we get through it all, but it's very cool. So Alliance, you're going to try to reclaim the original seat of Stromgarde and use it to defend yourself against the Horde. So the first thing you're going to do when you get to a warfront is you're going to establish your base. So for Alliance, you're going to build a town hall. For Horde, you're going to build a Great Hall. After that, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to start gathering resources, and you're going to start taking territory. Resources are very important to the game, just like they were in the original RTS. You got to collect lumber. You got to collect iron. You got to put those together to build buildings. Territory is also very important because territory will unlock new buildings and new research and new available opportunities that you can take on the battlefield. All of that iron and lumber that you're building, and a fantastic flannel progression system that you'll have for chopping down trees. You're going to build your base. So this is actually the original Warcraft 3 tech tree for Horde. We are trying to follow this as close as we can because we think it's awesome. So you're going to build a Great Hall. You're going to build a barracks, and from the barracks you're going to train troops. You can build an armory which upgrades your troops. You can build a Spirit Lodge to build shaman. All of those things will be important for the fight. If you're Alliance, you're also going to build a barracks, but it will be riflemen and footmen and knights, just like the original RTS. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, building bases with 19 other people sounds super fun. I'm sure we'll all decide the right buildings to choose, and it'll go fine. So the way this works is you actually get to gather your resources for yourself, and then you can contribute them to which building you want to build. Whenever that building has enough resources to build, peons will start running over and putting it together. So the choice is made by everyone. If you work together, you're going to build buildings faster, you're going to go through it, but nothing is lost. With those buildings, you now need to build your army. So each building that you build that builds units like the barracks, you'll be able to build those grunts and footmen, and you'll send them to the front line. When you build them, they'll take off running to the front. But you should be there with them. You need to lead them into battle. You're going to the enemy gates. You're destroying their walls. You're killing their commander. That's what you need to do, and you need an army to do that. But again, you're not the only one here. The other side is also there. They also want to build an army, and they might have already built an army. They also want to take your gates down. They also want to crumble your walls and kill your commander. So not only are you taking territory and gathering resources, you're also defending. You need to defend the territory that you take. You need to defend your base, or else you'll lose. So each time you play through a warfront, we're trying to look at different systems to make it feel different. One of the ones we're really excited about is this concept of different enemy commanders. Again, going back to that original Warcraft fantasy. So imagine you have a human commander that you're fighting against as Horde. He might have upgraded knights and footmen that he sends all the time. Or you could have a dwarven commander who has upgraded riflemen, and also has a special unit that no other commander has, a dwarven mortar team. You're also going to be able to research new war technology outside of the warfront, so that you can bring it in the next time you play. And finally, we're actually having these battlefield events pop up while you're playing the game. So let's say one of your games, a goblin merchant shows up, and he offers to pay for some mercenaries to fight for your side. That is all we have to show. That is all we have to show for Warfronts today. Moving to the next topic. Social features. Social features. So when we looked at Battle for Azeroth, and we were trying to get to, we really found an opportunity with social features. Our goals were really pretty simple, I think. We really like the social structures that you guys have. We love guilds. We hope you guys love guilds too. But we found it. We could make it easier to communicate. Make it easier to make connections and keep connections in the game. So your social structures that you might have right now. Let's say that you have a guild. You have a raid group. That may meet Wednesday nights. Maybe you do PvP during the week. You also on the weekends you do pre-made group finder for your raided battlegrounds and your Mythic Keystone dungeons. If all of these social structures take place in a guild, you're probably doing okay. Otherwise, you're probably looking at other apps or other ways to manage those connections and keep in contact. Specifically, if you're doing a lot of pre-made group finder, you might find it really frustrating to every single group you join, having to find the next app you need to download, figure out what server you want to connect to, just to talk to people in that group. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to integrate Battle.net voice into World of Warcraft. So this is the same voice that Overwatch uses. So it's the same quality and the same should be the same easy to use. It also is integrated into our game. So rather than having to look at another app to figure out who's talking and correlate that to the character names in the game. Name to the character names in the game. You'll just be able to see a little pop-up with their name and a little speaker icon. So if you're in a pre-made group, you'll get a little pop-up that says, "Hey, would you like to join the voice chat?" You say yes, and you're in. For the other social structures that we have, we thought that guild was cool. We thought that guild was cool. We wanted to do a little bit more to support those features. So we're introducing WoW communities. So these are character-specific groups. So you can keep in touch with your friends. They're cross-server, so you can keep in touch with your friends that are on different servers than you. At the same time, and you can be in multiple communities at the same time, in addition to your guild. So the features that we have for communities, you get a roster. So the features that we have for communities, you get a roster of members. You get the people that are in the community. Very simple role management, so you'll be able to have like a founder. You have very simple role management, so you'll be able to have like a founder, an officer, and members of your guild, so you can manage who has control. Quick join. So this is all integrated into Quick Join. So when you see a community member join into a game, you can hop into their queue and join in without losing any time. These will also be integrated with voice, so you can be able to talk. These will also be integrated with voice, so you can be able to talk to your community just by clicking the button. We also are introducing auto-maintain calendar invites. You know, you make a calendar invite. So right now, you make a calendar invite, and you might have to manually keep track of who's in it. With this, if your community is managing the calendar invite, once you make it, like let's say the Wednesday night raid, once you make that calendar invite, anyone who joins your community automatically gets that invite. Anybody who leaves your community automatically is removed. And we're also putting text chat history into the game. You have to go for an hour. So let's say that you are playing, you have to go for an hour, and then you come back or that you were talking to in chat. An hour later, you'll be able to see all of the history of every community that you were listening to or that you were talking to in chat. So all the new things for guilds will actually be and be able to catch up with the conversation right away. Voice integration, auto-maintain calendar. So you're probably thinking, those sound great. I wish I had part of your guild. So those in the guild. It's cool. So all the new things for guilds will actually be in Battle for Azeroth too. So voice integration, auto-maintain calendar invites, and text chat history will be part of your guild. This is a mock-up that we're working on. So you can see at the top, that's your guild. So this is a redo of the guild panel. You can see the chat that's going on inside. When you actually see the chat, you can also pipe the chat back into your normal chat frame, so /G will still be there, and you can take. So this is a sneak peek at what the UI see the rated BG team and the Friday raid group as communities look like. This is a mock-up that we're working on. And that last so you can see at the top, that's your guild. So this is a redo of the guild. Blizzard Battle.net groups. So a couple weeks ago, you can see the chat that's going on inside. When you actually see the chat, you can also pipe the chat. So now you'll be able to see those in the back into your normal chat frame. So /G will still be there, and you can take your communities and make it /1/2. That is all we have today. Thank you guys so much. You'll also see the rated BG team and the Friday raid group as communities that you have. So tomorrow here we have Q&A. And that last box, which is a little bit different, all of your questions is actually Blizzard Battle.net
Also,
groups.
there's an art
panel tomorrow at 12:45. A couple weeks ago,
you should go check
Battle.net
that
groups
out
went
too.
live, so you can make friends with all of your Battle
Thank you so much. Have a great
Battle Tag
BlizzCon.
buddies. So now you'll be able to see those in the WoW client as well.
Thank you for attending the World of
All right.
Warcraft Gameplay and Systems Deep Dive panel. Up next, the Heroes of the Storm.
That
What's
is
Next
all we
panel.
have today. Thank you guys so much. We're really excited to get this expansion in your hands. I know you guys want to play too. So tomorrow here we have Q&A at 4 o'clock. You can submit all of your questions at the Dark Moon Fair. Also, there's an art panel tomorrow at 12:45 on the Legendary stage. You should go check that out too. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great BlizzCon.
Thank you for attending the World of Warcraft Gameplay and Systems Deep Dive panel.